inshallah. And then we'll have Salat al-Maghrib at 7:35. So let's welcome Sayyid with the loud salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين سيدنا ومولانا أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد اللهم صل على محمد آل محمد وعجل فرجهم وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين ولعنة الله على أعدائهم إلى قيام يوم الدين. Assalamu alaykum ya Aba Abdullah. To continue the topic of hope, we said that hope is what drives us. Sincere hope, ideal hope is a hope that causes us to work harder. And we said that hope is an engine for us. If a person does not have hope, they do not act. And when you look at the beautiful religion of Islam, you see that in our teachings, it is emphasized that hope should be ingrained with action. And having sheer hope is not enough. And actually just having hope and saying I have hope is actually, in reality, nothing but false hope. So we look at some of the science experiments that I mentioned to you that with the rats, and they took a group of rats and about 15 minutes, 3 minutes, 15 minutes, something like that, they died and drowned. But after saving them once and giving and instilling hope in the rats, see that they swam for 60 hours in this experiment in 1950, 1960s. So it shows you that even animals, if they feel that they can be saved, if they have hope, that the way that they will struggle and fight and the resilience that they have to live will be much longer. And that is what we need to instill in our hearts, is that if you have that true hope, which we'll talk about tonight, the qualities of such a hope, that actually it causes us to work more, not work less. Some people, they think that if they have more hope and they're just hopeful, then it causes them to relax. Because I'm hopeful Allah will take care of me and that's it. But tonight we're going to go over these two types of hope. One is a desirable hope and the other is an undesirable hope. And we see that the prophets of God, and we see Imam Hussein alayhi salam, especially in the day of Ashura, how much his life was filled with hope, the dua that he made in the morning of Ashura, with all that shiddah, with all that bala and all that calamity, and the overwhelming odds against him, that Allahumma anta thiqati fi kulli karbin, that my Lord, you are my support in every difficulty, wa raja'i fi kulli shiddah, and my hope in every severity. Where did Imam Hussein alayhi salam, who did he have hope in? God. So therefore you see the patience of Imam Hussein alayhi salam, that hope is mixed with action. And that you see that he fought so much, he had so much bravery, so much patience, that even in some of the ziyarah that says that the angels were amazed by the patience of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. The same angels that criticized God, why do you create such a being that is going to spill blood? And criticized, the mankind. But then when Imam Hussein alayhi salam shows himself in Ashura, and Ashura is a display of the perfect human being. The angels have ta'ajjub, in Ziyarat al-Nahiya they have ta'ajjub when they're amazed. And that is actually one of the reasons why God had the angels prostrate towards Adam, because the perfect human beings that were coming from the loins of Prophet Adam, that the tradition has, that they prostrated. Obviously, it's not the prostration of worship. You have a prostration of worship. It's not, we cannot worship Adam. We cannot worship it. God would never say to worship Adam. It is a prostration of respect, which he allowed. So it's okay. He allowed a prostration of respect. And the hadith has why? Because of Prophet Muhammad and his family. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. These angels are doing prostration in another way to Imam Hussein alayhi salam, because of who will come from Adam, the potential that Adam has. So tonight we're going to talk about true hope, and we talked a bit about changing the way we perceive God, changing the way we perceive the dunya, changing the way we perceive ourselves. But now let's talk a bit about the qualities of true hope. True hope, when it is real, it is in the heart. And I think this is something that you can think about right now, and I want you to gauge how much hope do I have. You feel true hope. And maybe sometimes you're more hopeful, sometimes you're less hopeful. But when you're very, very hopeful in God, you feel different. And it comes from the bottom of your heart. It is in a way that I think when you look at complete human beings like the holy Imams, and you read the way that they talk to God, and you read their conversation with God, you say, subhanAllah, how much hope do they have? Let me go over some of the lines of some of the du'as that we have that teach us hope, for example. Some of the lines are, أعطني بمسألتي إياك, in the month of Rajab, جميع خير الدنيا, give me by virtue of my petition to you all the welfare, all the khair, all the good of the world. جميع خير الدنيا. Usually, when children are realizing who God is, and it takes a maturity and more ma'rifah, understanding, sometimes you have you ever heard this prayer ever, that God, give me this and I'll never ask you for anything else? It's maybe common in this culture, and it is childish. I want you to compare this expression, give me this, I won't ask you anything else. The Imam said, no, give me everything. Right? It sounds, maybe in this culture, sounds weird. Why would you say, give me everything? How much hope do you need to have in God to ask him to give me everything? Well, you're God, right? You're powerful. You're Arhamar Rahimi. And you're completely wise. So why would I not ask you for everything? I'm going to ask the creation of God everything. I had one of my friends was mentioning a story about a leader, one of these islands or countries. The leader is Muslim, and he went to ask one of the very rich kings in the Middle East for money. And he thought that, okay, this king, I don't know. He said, okay, let me get this. It's an island. Maybe he asked for $1 million, 10 million, something for his island. The guy said, okay, go ahead, write it right now. This is yours. And then he came back upset. He said, why didn't I, ask for more from him? 100 million, 1 billion, he would have given it. So when it comes to a king or ruler, someone in this world, we think that, oh, he's generous, he will give me. But how come when it comes to God, we don't have that hope that God can truly give you everything in this world? So you have true hope. When it comes to this spiritual world, you see that, for example, if I want to buy something in this world, I have to have the credit. The bank has to give me a loan. I need to have different things for me to buy a house. And if I look at something that is much more expensive than my budget, they'll make fun of me, right, in this world. If I look at a house that's, for example, and I don't have any real source of income, and it costs, for example, $10 million, you tell me, why are you looking at this house? But when you look at our relationship with God, you're taught from the instructions that no, you should look at in spirituality that $10 million house. No, you should look at that $100 million house. You should look at the highest. And actually, you pray and then you ask, make dua that God, make me a part of the 313, for example. You're not taught to say, just make me barely go to heaven, or make me just a small, soldier or companion of the Imam of the age. You're taught to, let me be of the 313. You have hope. Why? Because the realm, when you talk to God, is different than when you talk to creation. This world, when you have hope, it goes back to how much you have, what's in your budget. But when it comes to the spiritual world, and when it comes to relationship with God, because it's kum fayakum, be and it is, it can happen. And this should happen in all aspects of life, having this true hope. Or you have in the same dua, وَاصْرِفْ عَنِّي بِمَسْأَلَةِ إِيَّاكَ جَمِيعَ شَرَّ الدُّنْيَا وَشَرَّ الْآخِرَةِ. Take away, from my petition to you all of the evil of the world, all of the evil of the hereafter. I don't want to see any evil in this world. I don't want to see any evil in the hereafter. And you see the Imams, even when their own children were sick, they would very, very heavily make dua. And one of the Imams, I believe it's Imam Bagha, they say that his child was very sick. And people were wondering why the Imam is making so much dua for his kid. And they're wondering, well, what happens if he passes away? If he feels this way when his kid is sick, what, God forbid, if his child passes away, how is he going to feel? And actually, his child did pass away. And that complete method and manner of begging and asking, and that maybe you could say ittarab that he had, that distress he had, was now all gone. Because now, after that child has passed away, now is the time of patience. Now is the time of submission. But while that child is alive, I'm going to do everything. I'm going to have hope in God that He'll give him life. You don't give up on him in dua. Sometimes you have someone that is sick, is in the ICU, God forbid. And you're still hopeful. Say, for God it means nothing. Right now He can cure him if He wants to. You're hopeful to the end. Until after they pass away, then you cannot, make dua that He gets life again. So the first quality of hope is the hope that is ingrained, that is desirable. The desired hope is true hope that is within us, and you see in the du'as of the Imams. The second quality of a desired hope compared to an undesired hope is that it comes with effort. How do I know if the hope I have is good hope? How do I know it's not false hope? Because I'm working. I have effort. I have hope in God's mercy. I have hope in His reward. What happens if you have hope in God's reward? You go and seek His reward. Do more. I will go to more masajid, more speeches, more acts of worship, help more poor. Because I want His reward. I know it's baqiyatu salihat. What does that word mean, baqiyatu salihat? Baqiyatu salihat, which means, in reality, those actions that are going to be saved for me. It are those enduring good actions. I know God's going to save it for me. So if you truly have hope, He's going to save it for you. And He is the best protector of your deeds. Well, why wouldn't you do that? So if you have true hope, it also equals effort. Imam Ali alayhi salam in Nahj al-Balagha, just translation, has this. It says, from his assumption, this person presumes hope in God. I swear by God, he has lied. He says he has hope in God. I swear he has lied. How come his hope is not found in his behavior? How come you can't see hope in his behavior? Do we have hope in our behavior? Yes. That is how the Quran actually talks to us and says, this is how you should behave. A person that has hope should do amal salih. So in our instructions, different than maybe other religions, that sometimes you see, just have hope and you'll reach salvation. Actually, when we dissect hope in Islam, it means hope means that you'll work. It means you go and seek it. Imam Sadiq alayhi salam also has a tradition that they talk about a group of people, a person that they just have hope in God, but they continue to sin in this hadith. They continue to sin. The Imam mentions that in hadith that no, their hope is fake. Why? Because you can't just have hope and sin. Because a person that has hope seeks it. Quran mentions, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم, فَمَنْ كَانَ يَرْجُو لِقَاءَ رَبِّهِ. So whoever would hope for the meeting with his Lord, whoever has hope, yarju is raja. Whoever has hope in the meeting of his Lord, فَلْيَعْمَلْ عَمَلًا صَالِحًا. Let him do righteous work. So you see that? Whoever has hope in meeting God, فَلْيَعْمَلْ عَمَلًا صَالِحًا. Let him do righteous work. So there is this link between effort and hope. That is the second sign. Let me ask you something. How come is it, and the teachers of akhlaq or the writers and authors say this, when it comes to this world, usually when we have hope in something, usually it comes with effort. For example, either you're a boss, or you're an employee, employee, you're a businessman, you want to make money. That businessman knows if I have hope in making money, that I have to go out there and work hard to gain it. If I'm an employee and I want to have a good income, either I'm salary or, for example, I'm hourly. Salary, I want my wage to increase eventually, in this corporation. I know I have to work hard. I know I have to be, come on time, for example, be reliable, and eventually I'll get the promotion. So I'll work hard. When it comes to hours, I know if I'm hourly, for example, and I want to work hard, I know if they like me, they'll give me overtime, for example. How come when it comes to this world, usually we link hope with action and effort? I have hope, for example, going into a good school. I have hope in getting good grades. I work hard. But when it comes to the hereafter, many people, they have hope in God, but they don't want to do the work. What's wrong here? The answer is that we haven't really understood hope. Because the hope doesn't mean, in the traditions from Imam Ali alayhi salam, that the way that you enter heaven, or heaven is attained, he says it's with amal, with action, not with only amal, not with only hope. A fake hope, a false hope. An amal, action that stems from your belief that God is going to reward me, and that when I do good for him, it will be protected. For example, when I give charity, all I know in reality that I give this charity, all that's happening is someone is taking it from me and is just going to transfer and give it to me in the hereafter. Did you ever go on a plane trip where you check in your luggage? And usually, a lot of times we have excess luggage, luggage all the way here because we want to bring, gifts for everyone, and how good it feels to check in that luggage. You feel rest assured that I give this luggage, I'm going to get it in my destination. That is the same aspect with charity. I'm just giving it here, and I'm going to give it where I need it most. But the difference is, in this world, we want dirham and dinar. We want silver coins, gold coins. In the hereafter, we'll be thirsty for something else. And what will we be thirsty for? Amal salih. We'll be looking for good deeds. Like the child whose taste changes. The child, those that have infants know, they're addicted to milk. All they want is milk, milk, milk. Then their taste change and it becomes food, for example. They like different types of solid food Then a different type of food, for example, the food that adults like, it changes. The da'iqa or the taste buds change. This world, our taste buds are for dirham and dinar, gold coins and silver coins. Very interesting. We always say, who is the biggest, richest guy right now? Who is the biggest billionaire? Oh, his shares went down. He's number 2 now. Who's number 1? Who's number 2? Who's number 3? We love it. We look at this stuff. But in the hereafter, we're going to say, who's a billionaire in action? Look at this person. Look at the tremendous amount of capital he brought with himself. What is the capital there? Amal salih, good deeds. So we have to realize that if you have hope, it means that you should work. And you see that this has always been the way of the prophets, the teachings of Islam, is that true hope is linked with good action. You have true hope. You love Imam Hussein alayhi salam. I have true hope in his shafa'ah. What does that mean? It means I will do his ziyarat. It means not that I just sit here and not do his ziyarat. Yes, even from far. Many people right now are walking, in Arba'in, to doing the walk. We cannot be there. We wish we were there. But they at least do a ziyarat from here. So remember, hope, true hope is mixed with action. A person that just says, I have lots of hope in God's forgiveness, but doesn't seek it, that hope is fake. Hopefully we don't fool ourselves. These next 10 minutes will end up in fish. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wa ajil farajahum. So the other quality is that person will be attached to spiritual affairs. How do you know you have true hope? There will be a longing for spirituality. Quran mentions al-mal wal-banun zinatul hayat ad-dunya wal-baqiyat as-salihat khayrun 'inda rabbik thawaban wa khayrun amala. Wealth and children are but an adornment of the worldly life, 1846. But the enduring good deeds are better to your Lord for reward and better for one's hope. So Quran mentions what is better, what is khayrun inda rabbik thawaban wa khayrun amala. What is better amala? What is in terms of hope? Baqiyat as-salihat. That person that is always looking for God's hope and mercy is thinking also of baqiyat as-salihat, which is that preserved action, accepted action, especially that action that's going to be planted here, like that person that has hope, that farmer that Quran mentions has hope, and that seven, he plants 7 becomes times 100, becomes, for example, 700, and he has a good harvest. That same person that's in this world, which is also another mazra'ah, which is also another farm, plants and puts things, builds masjids, helps make communities, brings up good kids, does something that when he is in the grave, continuously, thawab, reward. Everyone else, it's done. Their deeds are done. That's it. How much reward do you have, for example? 1,000,000 good deeds, whatever. It's done, finished. But that person that had planned and had hope in God plants baqiyat as-salihat, that child prays and says, oh, what a good child. His father taught him that prayer. They were a teacher and they taught somebody else. They were a lecturer, for example. They were a donator. They donated in the masjid, and every person that prays in that masjid or in that center, they remember him. So therefore, that hope that person has is sheer hope. And that hope causes them to go for the hereafter spirituality. The last thing that I want to talk about tonight, in the next 8 minutes, we'll do a little bit of ihtiyat. And this is the most important, is that what else do you think would be a true action, a true quality of desired hope? The last is it comes with fear of God. True hope, and this is maybe the last lecture of this series of, how to attain God's hope in God, is that when you look at the prophets and you look at their instructions or the successors, or look at Quran, you see Quran has 2 commands: to have hope and to have fear of God. Usually this is a contradiction for us. How can you have hope and fear? In other religions, there's possibility that some confuse this, and they only thought that you should just have hope in God. Or maybe some prophets or teachings that were, maybe, changed. They thought that you should only fear God, and you'd cry so much out of fear of God because of His punishment. And some would say, no, you should be so hopeful, and you have shogh and you cry because of God's hope. So usually it seems like these things don't match. It's a contradiction. Either you have hope or you have fear. Which one do you have? Make up your mind. But actually we are taught that you can have both, and you should have both. You should have 2 noors, 2 lights, as the hadith has. The light of love and hope, and the light of fear of God. Let's go through this tradition. We'll end. Imam Sadiq alayhi salam mentions to Abdullah ibn Jundab, Kana Abi alayhi salam yaqul, or Imam Sadiq yes, to Abdullah ibn Jundab, Yabna Jundab, Yahlikul muttakilu ala amale. O son of Jundab, and Tuaf al-Uqul, he who relies on his good actions will be destroyed. If any one of you today will say, I'm a good person, I have good actions, I'm going to be saved, he says, you'll be destroyed, Imam Sadiq says. Right now from the beginning, with any ta'aruf, let us know that with any politeness, don't have hope in your actions. وَلَا يَنْجُو الْمُتَجَرِّ على الذنوب الواثق برحمة الله. And a daring, bold person with sin will not be saved that trusts in the mercy of God. قلت Ibn Jundab asked Imam Sadiq, فَمَنْ يَنْجُو, then who will be saved? The person that has good action won't be saved. And a daring, bold person that has sin won't be saved. Then who's going to be saved? Imam Sadiq alayhi salam says this group, قال الذين هم بين الرجاء والخوف. Those that are between fear, hope, and fear. They are the ones that will be saved. They have hope and they have fear. كأن قلوبهم في مخلب الطائر شوقا إلى الثواب. As if their hearts are in the claws of a bird, longing for the reward. وخوفا من العذاب, and dreading the punishment. So this last type of fear, and there are many verses in the Quran that talk about fear, many verses of Quran that talk about hope, and the way that you put them together is that these are two lights, and that you can have hope and fear. You have hope in God's mercy. You have hope in God's grace, hope in God's reward. But in reality, you have fear, not of God. You're really having fear of your own actions. You're having fear of your own actions. We'll end with this hadith from Imam Ali alayhi salam that he mentions, لا تخافوا ظلم ربكم. Don't fear the oppression of your Lord. God doesn't oppress. لا تخافوا ظلم ربكم ولكن خافوا ظلم أنفسكم. But fear the dhulm and oppression of yourselves. We're going to read tonight in Dua Kumail, ظلمت نفسي. I have harmed myself. I have oppressed myself. So fear in what? If we want to match up these two lights, fear in my own actions, what I did to myself, what I'm doing to myself. God is not going to punish someone that didn't ever do anything wrong. He will forgive them, but He's not going to punish. Imam Ali says, don't fear God's dhulm, because He won't do dhulm. Fear the oppression, what you did to others. Fear the oppression that you did to yourself. Feel that self-harm. Fear that. And in reality, also at the same time, have hope in God, inshallah. And these are the characteristics of a person that has true, desirable hope. Therefore, one, it is real, it is in the heart. Two, it is linked with effort. This is how you know if your hope is real. You work all the time. And we said that 3, at the end, we mentioned that it should be attached to spiritual affairs. And 4th, that it should be balanced with fear. It is a healthy, balanced hope that also he has a fear of God at the same time. Fear of God from what? Punishment of his own actions. I'm just going to give a salam to Imam Hussein alayhi salam this month of Safar. Sallallahu alayka ya Aba Abdullah. We say salam to you, Imam Hussein. We're so happy that many of our community members, some of them I have information that they have left to go to Atabat Aliyah, to go to the shrines. And they have a longing for Imam Hussein. They miss Imam Hussein alayhi salam, and when they see the shrine of Imam Hussein, they're very happy. There's also a 3-4-year-old girl during this month that passed away, and she had a longing for Imam Hussein. She wanted to see Imam Hussein. But instead of seeing her father in the dungeons of Sham or in Sham, she sees the head of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. Sees the holy head of Imam Hussein. And just seeing this holy head and the condition that she has, she remains a symbol of the oppression of Imam Hussein's caravan in Sham and Syria. Inna lillahi wa inna alayhi raji'un. We'll get